Hello.
Hello.
How is it going?
It is going good.
Welcome to the bridge, everybody. My name is Comrade Britt.
And I am Pat.
Welcome to Soy Trek, the Marxist horny podcast about Star Trek.
The only one.
The only one that will ever exist.
If there's a second, we'll have to put a second qualifier in there.
No, we'll put a
third qualifier, I guess. Yeah.
No, we'll just put a couple bullets in our guns and go find those podcasters and even the odds, if you know what I mean, in the podcasting world. Thin that herd.
It's cutthroat.
Indeed. Hey, did you know we have a Patreon?
I did know that.
Yeah, if you'd like to support us, please go to patreon.com/dumbidiotbs. That's patreon.com/dumbidiotbs. And listen to our other fine, wide array of shows for many interests. We have My Wife. We have Soy Trek, this podcast, of course. We've got The Media Dungeon, our movie podcast. We've got Getting Head of Bucket Cast. We've got... we've got Prison Breakdown and the short-lived Dumb Idiot Bullshit podcast. I don't know if that's going to stick around or if that just became My Wife, because we're doing another My Wife this week.
Oh my God.
So yeah, you can get a lot of stuff on our Patreon. You can subscribe for free, but for as little as $2 a month, you can vote on what we watch every week, either for Soy Trek or the Media Dungeon, or maybe vote on what My Wife we're doing. You can, there's a backlog of tons of episodes, including tons of bonus episodes of Soy Trek and Getting Head of Bucket Cast. We've got all kinds of stuff on there. And for as little as $5 a month, we give you a shout out and say thank you to people just like Dylan Lance, Jordan Hale, Elizabeth Hearn, Nick Savard, Shane Sawyer, David Craning Sites, Electric Baphomet, Gursky, Jormore, Kyle Simmons, Gillian McCrary, SFC Punk, 7 of 9, D. Riker, Ethan Adams, James Hartman, Iggy, Abigail Simpson, Shane Williams, Sam Mayo, Seb, Roberto Yolito, Asher Pliskin, Skeptic, Papa Poison, Awful Star Trek Drongs, Jose Martinez, Nova, Gabe Siciliano, Big Strong Boy, Vinny, Luna Dahlia, Former Twink, Nathan G., and our good friends over at Hate Speech Podcast, the Bruce Campbell Podcast, and Anamorphin Time Podcast.
Ooh.
Yeah, so get your butts over to patreon.com/dumbidiotbs and help fund our podcasting addiction.
Please do.
Please, we need help.
In my other addiction. Shockaholicism.
Shockaholicism. Tell me about shockaholicism.
Well, it's like, I just have to have like a piece of chocolate inside me. Doesn't matter where.
You know what I'm saying? I totally. Solidarity, sister. Solidarity.
Yeah, Kathy's actually been chocohol free for quite some time.
Actually. Actually. Yeah.
Kathy usually comes to the meetings.
Yeah, here's my impression of Kathy mansplaining something. Well, actually.
I don't think anyone listening knows who Kathy is.
Kathy was a comic it was basically Dilbert for women. You know how Dilbert was for like office dorks. It was for like
she was like Murphy Brown.
Yeah, she was like this office lady femcel who like loved chocolate, and she was like.
And her husband or boyfriend looked like John Arbuckle.
Yeah, she was like the married girl who comes to the club with her friends and is always like trying to steal her friends away from like guys hitting on them. Like, no, he's dangerous. And you're like, shut up. I'm not dangerous. Shut up.
And she always weighed herself, and that was like a big thing.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, not going to get great results with all that chocolate. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
Indeed. Someone should write like a Shakespearean tragedy about Kathy. That's a final line. Indeed, my friend. Indeed.
I knew him, Heathcliff.
Act 2, Brutus.
Act 2, Brute. We apparently got a scene like that coming up in Rebel Moon Part 2.
Oh, yeah. I'm not looking forward to that, but maybe we should watch it anyway.
Yeah. I think it's going to happen.
We watched the first one, so...
Carrie Ellis is in it.
Oh, really? I love Carrie Ellis from the Princess Bride and Robin Hood Men in Tights and Saw
and The Crush, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, charming man, very handsome. So we're here to talk about some Star Trek today. Yeah,
of course we are.
Yeah, Star Trek Discovery. Season 5, Episode 4. Face the Strange, obviously taking off the David Bowie song. Changes, I believe.
Changes.
Turn and face the strange. Yeah. Yeah, we did it. Well done. We did a confident cover over Zoom. So... this episode is the 59th episode produced in Discovery and 59th released. It is the 912th Star Trek property released overall. This one is written by Sean Cochran, who's written 5 episodes of Discovery, including New Eden and All In. He is one of the few writers who have worked on all 5 seasons of Discovery. So good for you, Sean Cochran. And it's directed by Lee Rose, who has directed 5 episodes of Discovery, but none of the 5 Cochran's been in until now, including Choose Your Pain and The Examples. She's also directed episodes of Grimm, The New MacGyver Show, Riverdale, and The New Dynasty Show.
So. I haven't seen any of this.
yeah. There's just a lot of shows that feel like kind of like make work revivalisms of shows that are just like guys are like, we need something to put on the air, and they're like, hey, we still own this property, should we just reboot it? And they're like, yeah, fine, and they just throw like young directors at it, and I don't know.
It's like TV specifically made to be played at like bus terminals,
airports,
cancer wards, and for like the elderly who have died in front of their television sets.
Oh yeah, people. Prisoners on good behavior who get a TV set. This is the television they watch. It seems.
Yep.
Yeah. So we open, and it's 15 hours.
I got a juice delivery.
You got a juice delivery. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We love a fresh juice. Is it a fresh squeezed?
Yep. Fresh from the juicer.
Oh, we love a juiced juice. My girlfriend's been getting super into juice lately. She's been drinking so much celery juice.
Celery's just it's the toothbrush for your colon.
Yeah, I was gonna say that girl be farting. That I love that dumper, but it's talking back to me lately. I'm not.
I love talking to it, but I don't like it when it talks back.
That's right. Give it a tongue lashing, So we open up on this episode, and it says it's 15 hours ago. And I think that this is the only time that it actually shows the time. So, Maul and Locke are with a guy, and they give him a bag full of latinum. The dealer says the cost of the item has gone up, but then he starts coughing. Suddenly he coughs more and becomes dizzy. Maul says that they soaked the latinum in poison, the kind that he sold to kill Maul's people, or people like Maul. The dealer seizes up, and Locke asks, what if this doesn't work? And Maul says, hey, it will. So,
also, I just realized I totally forgot about that happening in the beginning. What did that have to do with the rest of the episode?
It's a thing that they have to put in for story continuity. I don't know. Well, and also they were the ones.
But it doesn't come back. There's nothing to it being 15 hours ago. Or before.
Yeah, that's why I pointed out it's the only time it says the time in the episode. Is it doesn't really make sense to say the time.
Yeah.
Unless you're gonna have another screen that says 3 hours ago, and then and you're telling the tail in a linear way. But this is I don't know if it's gonna have this. It could make sense if it's just on the beginning of each episode. If it's on the beginning of the next episode and it's 5 hours ago or something like that. And I don't know, but it doesn't make sense to do it in a serialized way at all. And this episode is a little serialized.
Yeah. Oh wait, maybe it does have something to do with the what happens in the episode, but I don't know how this comes back at any way at the end to justify having
it say 15 hours ago. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't need to say it, but it does. So,
I totally forgot about that by the end of the episode, and now I'm just oh yeah, that did happen, and didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. So up on Discovery, Adira and Gray are talking on the phone about still being friends, and they finish their call, and it is so cringy. The whole call is just it's Gray's just oh, I'm glad we can still be friends, and Adira's yeah, and hates their life.
Crawling in my skin.
So Adira looks at a picture of them with Gray, and then Stamets calls them for a favor. And then there's a holographic spider in the room the whole time, and it disappears. So on the bridge, they're scanning for something, but coming up empty. The holographic spider is also in the room now. In the ready room, Burnham dresses Raynor down for being too bossy and being I make decisions around here and shit.
Also, I don't know, I'm kind of bored with this whole Raynor thing. I feel this was something that was addressed in a previous episode.
Yeah.
I feel and that's one of my big complaints about this is last season we had to hear 10C over and over and over again. The aliens, we had to hear that, and the GMA, what was it called? The DMCA.
DMCA, yeah, that's what we got.
Yeah.
That's what the DMA.
But had to hear that nonstop, and this it's okay, this season we just have to hear the words Maul and Locke and Raynor's being a dick. That has to be the through line through the entire episode season.
Yeah,
it's just change the channel.
So Raynor reminds Michael that this is a red directive and the crew needs to be more disciplined. Burnham tells him that
also, have we ever gotten a actual definition of red directive? Just
it's all bets are off. You have free reign to do basically anything to complete your mission.
Yeah, they haven't really been like,
Yeah.
okay, this is the severity level. You know,
It's red. It's red. It's a red directive.
it would have been nice if there was like something else that had further like established the severity of like of the red directive thing, you know, instead of just being like having to hear it over and over again, because it's like kind of meaningless in a way.
Yeah.
In context to everything else.
So Burnham tells Rayner he's in a state of flux, which is like the most fucking psychology undergrad brained thing I've ever heard. You're in a state of flux right now, you know. Like when someone's being like reasonably angry about something, you're in a state of flux, you know that?
Yeah. I can see your anger right now, so I'm just going to throw a term at you to minimize your anger. You know, just like you're in a state of flux.
Burnham tells him that it's her ship and he's expected to do things her way, and he asked what if his way is better. So at this point, she should maybe just fire him or like, I don't know, work with him here, because this command structure doesn't seem to be working too well.
I brought you on to challenge me, you know, and everything that I say, but also I don't want you to challenge me. I want you to be just also adopt the disingenuous therapy speak and just like positive attitude everyone else has.
Yeah, man. Imagine Rayner just like smiling before he says everything and being like,
yeah,
just like looking over at Stamets and being like, I miss Saru. He was so soft inside. Like, what? Stamets like, what, dude? How do you know that?
That thing smelled like a fish tank.
So in engineering, Stamets notices the holographic spider. Suddenly, there's power fluctuations and somebody's broadcasting something from the ship. Burnham asks for a bridge report, and the comms are out. Burnham and Rayner go to the bridge, and everybody dead. Everybody dead. They're in a wormhole. Rayner asks where they are, and Burnham asks, it's not where we are, it's when we are. Or when are we? Yeah, which is a line that like I feel like I've heard 3,000 times on Star Trek now. Yeah, given like all of, like the time displacements and everything else, like, you know, it's like this should be old hat by this point. And speaking of old hat, they see the Red Angel, Burnham herself. Credits 8 minutes 45 seconds in. They are big on those long cold opens, but also the big recaps as well, because we got to know everything that's going on, because it's, you know, a little convoluted-ish.
Yeah, that's a thing. Like, I feel like this is like one of those like series that doesn't really need a recap, because it's like, oh, we're still going after Mullen Locke. These two people who are just somehow outwitting us at every turn, even though it's just like two people, and we have the entire might of the Federation behind us, but we're still being foiled by these two people who are just like too smart for us.
Right. You never cross a blonde manic pixie dream girl in the Star Trek universe. They're capable of anything. Anything.
Or her lumpy headed boyfriend.
So when we come back from credits, on the bridge, Burnham recounts how this is the day they came to the 32nd century. So they went back in time to when they went forward into the future, I guess. Tilly wakes up, so they leave quickly. The lights flash, and suddenly they're in the ready room again, but this time they're in San Francisco. Some tech is behind them and asks if the inspection wasn't tomorrow. They figure out they're in dry dock when the Discovery was being built, and they're jumping through time. Whoa. Rayner asks if it might not be temporal, but maybe mental, something messing with their brains. Burnham deduces something hit the ship the moment they were transporting, and so they're, you know, separate from the time loop that's actually happening. So they warp back to the same position they were before, but they're at the Battle of Control from the end of Season 2 of Discovery. Rayner says that he thinks what's happening is a time bug. and they can be found on the black market, and they randomly cycle ships through time for weeks to keep them stuck. Now, this is something that, like, you figure the Federation would really go after, like, trying to eradicate, because this is, like, something that this is, like, a monumental power to have right here.
Yeah, and it's apparently something that you can just buy on the black market, and
right.
It's like, but also it seems like as if it also isolates the people, so they can't actually affect anything that happens in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's also very strange because I think they had to establish those parameters, because then, like, using it would also be a great strength,
right?
Because like if you were just like randomly thrust into the past, you could also be like, hey, this is going to happen, and stop it from ever happening, or possibly, like, quickly do something to, if the people who gave you the time bug in the first place, you could, like, make it so they never live. Just like, oh, that's your dad. Shoot them.
Yeah, and it's crazy that, like, this little bug thing can, like, transport people through time and stuff, but Discovery, they have no way of, like, getting back to their time or anything. They never consider that.
Yeah, this episode reminded me of the Enterprise episode where Archer gets the that temporal fungus or something in his brain that
chlamydia.
Keeps it. Yeah, chlamydia. Oh, yeah. He gets temporal chlamydia in his brain, and they actually, like, are able to get rid of it in the future by because it's, like, outside of time, so they're able to eradicate it in the future, and by eradicating the future, it goes all the way to the past, and then he's able to just, like, that's why they beat it.
Yeah, I don't recall that episode. Sorry.
So it's a pretty good episodes where, like, T'Pol eventually becomes Archer's caretaker, and because he kind of becomes, like, kind of useless because he keeps, like,
do you think she
going back to the time he was affected?
So do you think she, like, gives him, like, disabled hand jobs?
You know what? It's not off the table.
I don't think it is. I think she's like, this is my duty, Captain. Jerk, 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 jerk. By tracking the ship, Maul and Locke know exactly where Discovery is and where the next clue is. Burnham says they need to find Stamets because he lives outside of time. Because of his
tardigrade.
Yeah.
DNA.
Yeah. So in Medbay, Stamets is injured and talking about the bug. He says he needs to help, but before time warp happens again soon. Burnham says the previous cycle lasted twice as long as the one before it. They go to find Stamets in engineering and override their biometric readings. But they went back to when the Osira attacked Discovery in Season 3. They fight off some soldiers using karate, and they both have no problem punching dudes in the helmet. Which they're just, like, punching dudes in the face, but these guys all have helmets on, and I'm like, you're gonna shatter your hand doing that, but no, they're fine.
Also, I like how this always, like, each time jump always went back to some pivotal part in Discovery's history rather than just, like, some random Tuesday.
Yeah, the day fucking... The day Culber, like, clogged up the toilet, like,
yeah, just one of those days where Riker's on the bridge just playing Nightbird, and Pretend Forward playing Nightbird or something, not just, like, a random day. It's like it's got to be some super action packed time,
right, with battles and fights and stuff. And also, it's weird that they can go back in time and, like, fight a bunch of people and, like, injure them and stuff, and that doesn't affect the timeline at all.
Oh yeah, like I say, like, it seems like as if, like, all the decisions they make in this while the time bug is happening actually have no actual effect on the real timeline. No, because you'll see that at the end, when she's basically breaking Burnham's basically breaking the temporal prime directive completely, just being like, so this is what's happening.
100%.
Like,
yeah.
And it has no effect on anything. And so that's why I think, like, they can just go and punch people, do whatever the fuck they want, because it doesn't actually seem to have any effect. which is I didn't really grasp why that was, because it's not like when they start actually directly affecting the past, it's something that happened well before everything else.
Right.
They're like, well, if you pull this off, then we'll all forget about it. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, yeah, because which is like, kind of shows in the next part where Jet Reno shows up right after Raynor beats up a whole bunch of guys in helmets, and she's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm a temp." And she's like, "Oh, okay," and just accepts it, even though their ship is being attacked at that moment. But okay,
yeah, just like, yeah, okay, I believe you.
Yeah,
like you see, yeah, because you're not wearing a kung fu outfit, so I trust that you're.
Yeah, you don't have a helmet on. Yeah. So they do another time warp.
Yeah, but it's funny because like last night, rewatched that one episode of Voyager when it takes place 15 years in the future, and Chakotay and Harry Kim are trying to change the past. And
are you talking Borg Hunters, a Star Trek fan production?
No, I wish I was, but it is Borg, because they use like 7 of 9's Borg thing in her head to like send her a message to the past to change the past. And I think Janeway does have a great line where it's just like, you know what, it's like, you know what, it's probably best not to think about time travel paradoxes, and you just got to have that sort of mentality with it. And
sure,
it's a great line by Janeway, and it's also just a great line just for like the canon of Star Trek time travel.
Yeah, maybe best not to think about it because it's kind of daffy.
It's kind of daffy.
Like when you think about like Star Trek First Contact, what? Like it doesn't make a lot of sense, but
no.
Oh well. So Burnham wanders onto the bridge after they do a time warp, and Zora responds, the computer. Zora says the crew died decades ago, and it is now 3218, 30 years into the future. Zora says her memory is clouded, which I'm like, you're a computer.
But I'm still able to do these like next level, quantum calculations and shit, know. Yes. But I can't remember what happened yesterday.
Yep. Zora says her memory's clouded, but Burnham's greatest fears came true. Zora opens the view screen, and it's a destroyed Federation headquarters. The Breen got the progenitor technology and destroyed everything. Raynor and Burnham talk about how she rose the ranks after mutineering, and we have just another one of these discussions. That's all people talk about with her. It's wild.
It's funny that somehow came up and was useful later on in the episode.
And it's weird that he even knows that, because that happened like 800 years ago. But
yeah, but also like Raynor demonstrated that he read up on every single person's file.
True.
Beforehand, so it's like I'm sure that has to be in her official file.
Yeah. Yep. So Raynor and Burnham talk about. So Burnham says she rose through the ranks by never giving up. They go through their options, and Burnham says this is all about speed. Zora calculates the space-time diaphragm to the time warps, and it's a conical wave that tells them how long they have between time jumps. Which, yeah, you're right. It's weird that she's like, I don't remember what happened 30 years ago, but like, yeah, she's like, I do remember particle physics, though.
Somehow that part of my brain was not affected.
Yes.
It's also funny, like, she is a living ship, and she can do whatever the fuck she wants, and she chooses just to, like, sing nursery rhymes or something to herself in a bunch of wreckage. Like,
yeah, exactly. She's just hanging out at like a place where, like, I don't know, raiders would obviously come and try to destroy at any time, or like the Breen could come back at any time. Like,
man, the Breen or nobody else like thought the mushroom drive technology was worthy enough to like take. I mean, that's still like incredibly useful. I mean, I guess like it's useless without Stamets.
Right.
Yeah, but still, like, I'm sure like someone could recreate that sort of thing.
So, speaking of Stamets, over in engineering, Stamets and Jet Reno were talking about some tech stuff. Stamets asks her about the time loop, and she sets him straight. And this is just one of those scenes. It's just like techno babble, and it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, I do like Jet Reno like a lot, just because she does have a very in amongst the cast, like she has a very unique voice. I think I said that last episode.
She's actually funny, and like her comic timing is good, unlike anyone else in the cast.
Seems like a real person.
Yeah, definitely. So Reno says,
a weird positivity freak.
Yeah. Reno says if Stamets buries his mind in the abstract too long, he'll turn into a Rothko painting. Burnham shows up, and Stamets is happy to see them. Stamets has an idea on how to stop the jump, but he needs help gathering equipment. They set a place to meet after every jump, Deck 13, and then they jump again. Stamets, Burnham, and Rayner meet up again, and Stamets says they need something from Burnham's private holodeck, which only she can get into because of security codes. Burnham enters her room and sees Grudge, the cat. He's cute. We love to see Grudge. She's cute.
Good. So she's cute.
She's cute. Sorry, I misgendered the cat.
All they do is call her the queen.
Yeah, right.
But then again, she could. Yeah, I mean, who knows? She could be a queen.
Yeah, true, like a drag queen cat, drag cat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, drag cat.
Burnham gets some stuff from the holodeck, what she needs, but then Book shows up, and she has to pretend they're still together and in love, and they kiss. He tells her he loves her, and she says it back, but she's all sad about it. She's so sad.
Aww.
She's so sad about a boyfriend who double-crossed your Federation and almost got everyone killed. So Burnham,
I do like how she could have just been like, I really got to take a shit. Just ran out of the
It's like, what do you mean? That's all sucked out with the transporters now. And she's like, I like it. I like to do it the old-fashioned way.
But I like doing it while sitting in the captain's chair.
I had a little device installed, a little trap door. So Burnham brings the component, and Stamets gives her the device. She goes to put it on the bug, but it has a defense mechanism, and they suddenly warp again. The team meets up again, and Stamets says they're going to age to dust before they can get to the bug. They just need to let relativity take over by taking the ship to maximum warp and then breaking the warp bubble. And he's like, it's just like breaking a condom, and he gets one out and puts it on his dick, and
let me demonstrate.
Yeah. So Stamets says time change doesn't take effect until the bug resets, so they still have time to reset the future. Stamets reads the manifest, and Burnham says she'll have to find a way to convince the entire crew. So future Burnham takes the turbo lift and meets her past self there. Future Burnham explains that she's from the future and they're cycling through time, and she begs her old self to let her proceed. Past Burnham says a mutineer couldn't end up with the captain's pips, and she karate fights herself and disarms past Michael with a Vulcan neck pinch. She gives her...
Actually, I would say, I want to give props to... because I thought the fight looked really good between the two of them.
Yeah, it was fine.
It did seem seamless, like she was fighting herself. It was pretty good.
Yeah, good use of doubling and stuff, but it's still another
karate thing.
Discovery karate. It's like, and it's so even fighting herself, she's Mary Sued and she can do no wrong. She barely she can she somehow is able to fight herself and incapacitate herself even after a 5-minute brutal fight. There's no blood or anything. It's kind of funny.
No, yeah.
No bruising, no blood. Yeah.
And there's no double hammer throws.
Oh, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's that's one thing that's really missing from all these new Star Treks is that we've
Kirk's
really given
double
up
hammer
on that.
punch. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Polish hammer.
That's a classic move, and
it really is. That's what defeats the Gorn, brother. That's the only way to beat the Gorn besides using light or whatever they did on Strange New Worlds.
It's like a punch, but doubled.
Yeah. Good point. So The karate fight happens. She knocks herself out, and she gives her passed out self words of encouragement and heads to the bridge. And I was like, why are you talking to your passed out self? This is like talking to a plant, being like, it grows better. Like, so
like also it's like she knows. It's like that's literally her past self that led her here right now. It's like why do you need to give yourself a pep talk in the past?
Yeah, it's wild. So, in engineering, Raynor talks to Stamets, who clues him into the severity of the situation. Raynor says he's there to help and offers his help. Stamets gives him some things to do. Raynor has a human moment with Stamets, and they both smile at each other, which is kind of nice. On the bridge, Burnham enters, and everyone is confused. Burnham says she's from the future and explains the mission and how they've been in a time loop. They check for Burnham life signs, and there's 2 of them on board. One of them's passed out. Burnham tells each of the crew something personal about themselves. Burnham says Arium will believe her, and then tells her the reason she'll believe her is because she's seen how they die. And I'm like, how does this prove anything? Because she doesn't know she's going to die.
That too.
It doesn't, yeah, and it's super weird because she's like, yeah, Burnham's like, yeah, you sacrifice yourself for the crew. And Arium's like, no, I believe you. I would sacrifice myself for the crew. Which this is just like manipulative then. Like, yeah.
Yeah, because honestly, I think if you had proposed the same question to any of the people on the bridge, yeah, they would have said the same thing. Like that's one part. That's a part of being in the Federation. Part of being, and part of being in Starfleet is
like
you're expected to make these noble sacrifices of yourself for the greater good.
Yeah, both the pilots offered to sacrifice themselves at the end of last season. Yeah, so I don't know. Arium asks what Burnham needs and puts the ship to maximum warp. I'm like, that was too easy. I don't know. Like,
It's like, oh, this mutineer is going to be captain. Sure, okay.
Also, didn't they say that like Lorca was on an away mission?
Yeah.
And they just like warp away without talking to him at all?
Yeah. Well, I think that's one thing where I think if you're gonna have especially like this final season, last hurrah, and you have a time travel episode where you go to Lorca's time period, why the fuck wouldn't you just get Jason Isaacs to do a cameo?
Yeah,
like
precisely.
Like that's what you expect. Like, okay, we have Arium, but whatever. But it would make it difficult though, because it would still be the evil one on here, and Burnham would be trying to manipulate him, knowing his truth, and without trying to give it away to the rest of the crew. Yeah, this is kind of, but like they were going through all these periods, just kind of like, it's kind of like, doing Discovery's best hits, with the Red Angel and Control and all this stuff. So why wouldn't you have, Lorca or Mira Georgiou? Like,
she's too expensive now.
She's too expensive now, I know, but it's just like, or even just like normal Georgiou, like that would have had like an emotional impact.
That would have been great. Yeah, if Burnham could have like seen like original Georgiou, like not Mirror Universe Georgiou, and been like, that would have been cool. But she's too expensive now, buddy.
Too expensive, and maybe Jason Isaacs is too. That's why they're just like, we're bringing back the fan favorite Arium.
But it was nice to see Arium again. I'm not gonna lie. I did like Arium's character. Her episode where she dies. Spoiler alert. Like, is one of the best episodes of Discovery. Straight up.
Yeah,
it's very good. So, in engineering, no, I already read that. So in engineering, Stamets and Raynor are ready, but past Burnham drops in, phaser drawn, and tells them to stop. They call future Michael and tell her about it.
Excuse me.
Rayner says they should talk to herself, but they don't have enough time. Rayner appeals to Reese, the security officer, and tells him his favorite vessel, and he starts to drop his phaser. Rayner says he knows past Burnham and appeals to her personally. He tells.
Also, I like how this basically vindicates Rayner in the last episode, because that's exactly what Reese told him during his tell me about yourself in 50 words or less.
Yeah, exactly.
and that's exactly what Reese said, and he uses that.
Right, he's like, you love the curves, which is
and
total vindication.
And he was chewed out for that. He was they told him he was doing a bad job, but it literally
just saved his
fucking
life. Yeah.
Yeah. So Rayner vindicated,
as he asked, "What if my way's better?" You know.
Yeah.
So, Rayner tells Burnham that she deserves to be there. He tells her to trust the voice in her head. She lowers her phaser. They initiate the break and exit the warp bubble. The ship shakes, and Rayner catches the bug in the time device.
I like how he basically does the thing that's in the time machine with
was it Clive Owen or
the dude from Memento? What's his name?
I know what you're talking about.
Can't think of his name right now, but yeah, that basically happens where he's in the time machine and the guy's hand ages too fast.
Guy Pearce.
Yeah, and his hand gets into a time bubble and ages more than the rest of his body, which is pretty fun. I was like that, and that also they use that later, and just the hand, just another guy's hand, just ages and decomposes, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, that'd be happening when I'd be jerking off sometimes. That's when after you jerk off for the seventh time in a day and you're just beating raw meat and your hand is fucking tired and starting to cramp up. That's what it feels like, brother. That's what it'd be feeling like.
Yeah, I'm sure they should have had a thing where Rayner was just they're go get that fixed. Rayner should have been you know what, I'm going to keep it for a little while.
Yeah.
See what it's like to get a crank job from a 90-year-old.
I mean, I already know what it's like, but they're Vulcan, and they have a different aging process. So
he's keyless.
Yeah, but he's gotten hand jobs from a Vulcan.
Oh yeah, of course.
Definitely, Vulcans love hand jobs.
But 90-year-old Vulcan, that's just a middle-aged Vulcan.
Right, exactly. It do be hitting still.
do be hitting.
So Burnham and Rayner warp back to the present. They figure out they only lost 6 hours and the past hasn't been altered. Rayner hurt his hand catching the bug, so he goes to medbay to get it repaired. But before he does, he congratulates Burnham. She says they found a way to use their connection to keep them honest and make them better. She says that connection is a choice. Rayner admits to being stubborn, as does Burnham. She gives a speech on what's meaningful, and it's a little much.
A little much.
A little